Welcome students of BA Part First English Literature. In this e-class, we would discuss a very interesting story written by R.K. Narayan. The title of the story is An Astrologer's Day. This story is prescribed in paper second of your syllabus. An Astrologer's Day and Other Stories are a collection of short stories written by the famous short story writer R.K. Narayan. An Astrologer's Day is the first story of this collection. Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Iyer Narayan Swamy, commonly known as R.K. Narayan, was a leading author of early Indian literature in English, along with Mulkraj Anand and Raja Rao. He was born in Madras in 1906. He is one of the most famous and widely read Indian novelists. R.K. Narayan is credited with bringing Indian literature in English to the rest of the world. He is the master of humor, irony, realism, romance, and artistry. And he has created the famous Malgudi in his works. The setting of most of Narayan's stories and novels is the fictional town of Malgudi. This fictional town has been so realistically portrayed by Narayan that it has become a distinctive place identified with the works of R.K. Narayan. It appears to be real when we read the stories and novels. R.K. Narayan has, in his long career, published 14 novels, over 200 short stories, a memoir, 2 travel books, innumerable essays, and 2 plays. His first novel was Swami and His Friends, which appeared in 1935. His other novels include The Bachelor of Arts, The Dark Room, The English Teacher, Mr. Sampath, The Financial Expert, Waiting for Mahatma, The Guide, The Man-Eater of Malgudi, The Vendor of Sweets, Talkative Man, and his short stories includes the collections Malgudi Days, An Astrologer's Day and Other Stories, which is prescribed in your syllabus and published in 1947. Lolly Road and Other Stories, Horse and Two Goats, Under the Banyan Tree and Other Stories, The Grandmother's Tale, and Selected Stories. His stories were of compassionate humanism, humor, and energy. And above all, they reflect an ordinary life, the day to day life, and are set in South India. So, let us first discuss the story An Astrologer's Day. An Astrologer's Day is a short story which deals with a day in the life of an ordinary astrologer who is not a genuine astrologer, but he is a fake astrologer. Means he is the one who does not know about astrology. The setting of the story is a town, Malgudi, which is located in South India, and it is the story set in pre-independence times. The protagonist of the story is the astrologer. In the beginning of the story, we are introduced to the astrologer. The astrologer transacting his business and the atmosphere, the surrounding of the astrologers comes to us. The crafty ways in which the astrologer he dispenses his business is made known to us. We are told that the astrologers was as much a stranger to the stars as were his innocent customer. The writer paints a perfect picture of the astrologer. A sense of suspense is created about the astrologer with his appearance, with his mannerism, and we are told that he had not in the least intended to be an astrologer when he began his life. He had left his village stealthily and without telling anyone, and he had covered a safer distance, and he is dispensing his business as an astrologer. The story takes a turn when the astrologer one day starts to pick up at the end of the day. An unusual client appears to consult the astrologer. The story takes a turn when this client he compels the astrologers to answer to his specific questions. The astrologer succeeds in bargaining, and the interesting plot of the story it unfolds. The astrologer he catches a glimpse of the face of this client as it was darkness there, but when the astrologer he looks at the face of this client, Guru Nayak, he recognizes the man, and there is an amazement on the part of the astrologer. The astrologer then, as the client demands, starts telling the past story of this stranger. He tells the stranger that once he was stabbed by one of his friends and he was pushed into the well to die. This was the truth of the life of the stranger. The astrologer then calls his name Guru Nayak, and Guru Nayak he is completely impressed. The stranger asks about the location of the enemy, and the astrologer says that he has died and he should leave the search of the enemy and he should never come towards the south because the assailant is now no more in the world. So the client he gives the astrologer a good amount of money and he leaves. So another twist in the story comes when this astrologer he reaches home and he tells his wife his past story. So the life of the astrologer is revealed when he communicates or when he tells about his past to his wife. He says that when he was a youngster, he got drunk, he gambled, he got into the quarrel, and in a fit of rage, he stabbed Guru Nayak and he pushed him into the well, left him to die, and this guilt of murdering a man was always there in his mind and his heart. Due to this incident, he had left his village, his house, and he had settled here and married her, and to survive himself, he had become an astrologer. So all these years he had thought that he was guilty of murdering Guru Nayak and the blood of murdering a man was on his hands. But now after seeing Guru Nayak alive, he can sleep without a burden, with a light heart now. The story thus ends here. The theme of an astrologer's day focuses on a single day in the life of an astrologer who comes across his past in the present situation. This single day suddenly poses a grave problem arising from the past life of the astrologer, and how he tackles, how he deals with it is unfolded in the story. If we take up the characters in the story, there are two major characters in the story: the astrologer, who is the protagonist of the story, Guru Nayak, and the third character is astrologer's wife, who is a minor character but who plays a very important role in bringing forth the past life of the astrologer. The protagonist is the astrologer, and whose name is never mentioned, and it does not really matter to the readers what the name of the astrologer is. He has various facets of the personality, and as the plot unfolds, the character of the astrologer is also displayed, or is also come to light through the development of the story. The appearance of the astrologer is very well described by the author. His forehead was resplendent with sacred ash and vermilion, and his eyes sparkle with a sharp abnormal gleam, which his simple clients took to be prophetic light and felt comforted. We are told in the beginning that astrology was the profession which he had not taken up by choice. His appearance is further disclosed to us. He wore a saffron colored turban around his head. The color scheme never failed, and people were attracted to him as bees were attracted to cosmos. He was intelligent, and he had a crafty way to go about his profession. We are told that he didn't have much of the knowledge of astrology. He was as unknown to the stars as his innocent clients were. But clever he means as he was, and he had a good knowledge of the psychology of person, he never opened for at least 10 minutes and let the clients speak for themselves, which provided him enough stuff for a dozen answers and advices. So all the talks that he had made to the clients were endeared to almost everyone's heart immediately. The second important character who is very important to the plot of the story is Guru Nayak. With Guru Nayak's entry, the story takes a twist because he compels the astrologer to answer to his specific questions. This prospective client is the person whom astrologer had stabbed and left for being dead when they were youngsters. The astrologer recognized him, and we are surprised as Guru Nayak is surprised by the accurate, truthful answers to his past, or to his to the questions related to his past life. So the character, he brings out a surprising element to the readers as well as to Guru Nayak himself. The astrologer succeeds in bargaining, and the interesting part of the story begins. The story takes another twist when the third important character is introduced to us, and this is the astrologer's wife. This character, although it is a minor character, but the character plays a very important part in the story, in the plot of the story, because the life of the astrologer is revealed to us through his wife. So the wife of the astrologer plays a very important part in the denouement of the story. She is the one to whom astrologer he reveals his past. Simplicity, symbolism, simile, satire, suspense, surprise ending, irony, and catchy phrases marks the structure of the story. So all the characters and the structure of the story plays a very significant role in the interest generated while reading the story. R.K. Narayan is a great artist who creates a perfect atmosphere for the story, and it shows how fate changes the life of a man dramatically. The distinctive appeal of Narayan's stories, they derive in part from tension between their emphasis on plot and their brevity. So the short story, like most of Narayan's stories, is very short, less than 5 pages long, but it has a clear dramatic action, and the brevity and the conciseness of the tale and its surprise ending and the ironical twist in the story leads the story a very interesting factor and interesting element to the story. So, what makes an astrologer's day impressive and interesting is its plot, element of suspense and logical climax.